Hello, this is a super tool called Wheel of Fortune. It's a super tool because of the amount of time it gives back to a teacher through planning and preparation and many other things. Okay, on the main menu here, there's 25 headings, and each of these headings is a menu in itself, and behind each of these menus are a list of variations and topics, even sub-menus, and some of when it comes to arithmetic, you can change a lot of values and select what type of arithmetic you're using and add in negatives and decimals. So there's a lot of manipulation you can do. I'll show you how this works, and then go through the menu. Going through the menu will take about 20 minutes. So once you get an idea and you don't want to see what's behind the menu, then you can stop. Or if you've seen the menus before. Okay, we'll start with anagrams here because it's the first one. And in anagrams you can choose 4-letter words, 5, 6, 7, 8-letter words. We can mix 4 and 5, 5 and 6, 6 and 7, 7 and 8 as you're going up the different levels, getting older students or more able students, or you can mix them all, which is fun. I'm going to go mix them all, and then you'll see on the wheel of fortune, there'll be 4 letters and 8-letter words all mixed up, and the wheel will spin, and we have whatever the pointer is pointing at, it will display it in the yellow bordered box here on the right hand side, because some of the questions get quite long when you're doing long BODMAS questions, and they'll resize the text to fit inside this section. So on its side it's difficult to read anyway, so it's written down here, and if the pointer lands almost exactly on the line, it won't be almost exactly, but almost, it'll look like that, so there's no doubt an argument, it will be listed here, and then the teacher can click on the answer and it will show the answer as radius, and then the teacher can click anywhere on the board except the menu and the answer box, and it will start, it will spin again, and it will choose another question, and is that vertex, and the teacher can spin the wheel first and then give the students time to work the questions out when the questions are more difficult, or they can have the answer. So if we've got the answer vertex, now I can choose Samantha, who's sitting at the front. This is her question, and then just spin it. I don't know if it's going to be a 4-letter word or a 5-letter word. It's a 5-letter word, which will be, duty? No. I don't know, I can't see it. It's be study. It'll be study. And then the next time, that was Samantha, so the next time Jonathan's going to get called, and he could get an 8-letter, he's got a harder word, and then you just click on the answer. And it doesn't matter, the teacher doesn't have to do any work, because the answer is always going to be provided there. If we go to menu, we've seen anagrams, we've got BODMAS, BIDMAS, PEDMAS, whatever you want to call it. The students will always see order of operations. So if it's an American teacher and he uses PEDMAS, he'll know what it is, but the students will always see order of operations. So all teachers can use it. Even in the UK they use BODMAS and BIDMAS, but both can use it because they know what it is, and the students will always see order of operations, and they can use a acronym that teacher uses. I'll say here we've got the different levels of BODMAS. In the centre column you can mix 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4. You can compare them. Comparing and saying you work out this one and you work out two orders of operations, so the student's doing double the work, and also comparing, and when it comes to comparing, they're comparing the answers, and also ordering. The students will be working out three orders of operations, so doing a lot more work, and else just the answer that will be compared. And if we go to this first one, we'll see ordering and comparing later on. And we've got a minus and multiplication sign here. These signs can change. This is just saying there's going to be 1, 2, 3 numbers in the question. So if you look on the wheel, there's 1, 2, 3 numbers, and there's division first and multiplication. Better go this way. We've got addition, addition, multiplication, addition, and this one's division first, so it'll be 3 plus 7, and that'll be 10. Okay, so if we go comparing, and in the orders of operations menu, there's a comparing for that, and there's also in the comparing menu, there's an order of operations. So it doubles up the menu, but it's not to bulk the file out or anything, or make it look as if there's more things in it. But if a student, if a teacher is doing BODMAS, orders of operation, they want to see, oh, there's an option here to do comparing them and ordering them as well. So all of these are, so when it comes to numbers, when we look at numbers, there'll be a option for comparing numbers as well. So if you just want to do comparing, you might just want to do numbers, you might just want to do arithmetic, or you might say, oh, I'd never thought about doing comparing equations. Whenever we see arithmetic as a button, this actually takes you to another menu where you can choose what type of arithmetic you want to do. We've got all mixed selected. We could get addition, we can subtraction, multiplication, we can get division. We can choose the value of addition and subtraction values from 10 up to 1,000 just by clicking the plus, and it goes up there pretty quickly. And multiplication and division, this goes up to 1,000 as well if you're ever going to use that, and up down to 5. So multiplication and division values up to 5. Put that as 15, and then I'll choose multiplication, and you'll see. So it'll spin, and we're comparing, so it's greater or less or equal than. Up at the top here, I will tell you what you're working on. I'll give you the title, or I'll give you any additional instructions. When it comes to substitution, the values will be up here, the values of X, Y, and Z, or whatever the letters are. So the students will work out the 11 times 5 is 15, and was that 70, 60, 70, 98. So this will be, did I say 50? I said 16. 55 is less than whatever I said, 98, I think it was. 55 is less than 98. Okay, then we go back to here, so that's comparing. Conversions, we've got converting millimetres to centimetres, centimetres to metres, metres to kilometres, millimetres to metres, miles to kilometres, yards to metres, feet to metres, inches to centimetres, yards to miles. There's more in here than there's more options in here than are in the GCSE course in the UK. I think they might have changed it this year. We can mix the metric. The metric lengths, and we can use miles to kilometres, yards to metres, feet to metres, inches to centimetres. We can mix these, or we can mix yards and feet. the imperial measures. We've got ounces to pints, litres to millilitres, pints to gallons, pounds to ounces, and grams to kilograms. We've also got hours as decimals, and this one will also be in the time, speed and distance. This will be an option there as well. Hours to decimals is if you've got 1 hour 15 minutes, that's the same as 1.25 hours. And this whole menu, or the majority of this, will also be in the distance, speed and time. The ounces and pints won't, obviously. Anyway, well, I'm sure we'll get there. Okay, so that was conversions. Coordinates. These are your options for coordinates. We've got coordinates that make up a square. So is it a square or is it not in quadrant 1? Is it a square or not in quadrant 4? Square missing coordinates. So you're given 3 coordinates or 3 pairs of coordinates, and you have to get the missing coordinate in quadrant 1 or quadrant 4, and this is where you can mix them. We're finding equations of lines given 2 points. Find equations of lines given 1 point and m, and find equations of lines mixed. And equations, these will be in the equations menu as well. Intersection points of 2 lines, and Pythagoras magnitude quadrants 1, Pythagoras magnitude in 4 quadrants. Okay, and these will be in the Pythagoras menu as well. So if we quickly go back to the main screen to go to the menu, and we've got data and averages. So on the data of averages, we've got mean, median, mode and range. We've got mean missing data, so you're given the actual mean and 3, 4, 5 pieces of data. You have to find the missing piece of data to make that average correct. We've got moving averages and probability of an event, the probability of T or a shape. Here it's probability of a B. The answer will cut. So this is a question at the top, and we've got 1, 2, 3 B's and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 3 out of 8, or 3 and 8 as a probability. And I'll stop going through the questions because I guess you'll know what they are. So that's data and averages. We've got differentiation and integration. So these are the levels of differentiation. So you've got 1 term, 2 terms, 3 terms, and must be 4 terms. And we can mix these, mix 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, or mix them all as you're going up the levels, students' levels. We've got integration with 1 term, 2 terms, and 3 terms, and then you can mix them as well. So press mix and then quickly go back to the menu. You can see them mixed on the wheel. I don't know what question's coming up, and neither does a student or teacher. Equations and formulas, and here's equations and formulas, and a sub-menu here is for the equations. We've got, as formulas, we've got substitution into formulas, rearranging the formula of number patterns with missing numbers, the nth term, formula of quadratic sequence, common formula, that's the area of a square, area of a rectangle, a circle, volume of a cuboid, pyramid, prism, the common formulas. Then we've got a list of inequalities, and I've got parallel and perpendicular lines, answers with pi, so it's leaving the answer with pi and not calculating out the full numerical value, geometric progression formula, and geometric progression nth term. And so we'll go back quickly to the menu, just to quickly go through these menus. Then we've got equation. Oh, I've done that. Factorising and polynomials. So we're going. These are factorising, the first ones, and the different levels of factorising. We've just got 2 values here, including minuses, and then we've got 2 letters, 2 variables in there, including negatives, and then we've got g squareds and k squareds and negatives, and we can mix 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, or mix them all as they increase the levels. We've got quadratics, we've got dividing polynomials, and remainder and factor theorem. So we've got quadratics here. I'm not going to do a quadratic, and I can't remember what that was. Quadratics? No, it wasn't. Factors, multiples and primes, polynomials, factorising. Factors, multiples and primes. Okay, so we've got finding factors, finding multiples, listing multiples, prime factors, list of prime numbers, and we've also got highest common factor and lowest common multiple menu. So there's a few options in here. We've got highest common factor, lowest common multiple with 2 and 3 numbers, and we can mix these. That's all of this column, and we can mix them all. Then we've got comparing highest common factor, lowest common multiple, ordering highest common factor, lowest common multiple with 2 and with 3, and if you just choose one, and we'll quickly go back to the menu. So you can see the text on this as the question's getting longer. It's more difficult to read, but you can see 753, 743, 764, 753, 743, 764. It's easier to read here, and the answers are the actual answer. So what is ordering lowest common multiple? And the answer should be 8484 and 105. And that was ordering, I think it was. No, it wasn't. I nearly missed that whole column. So we've got fraction menu. So we've got adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. We can mix adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, or we can mix them all. We've got fractions of amounts, 1 and 2. One's easier, 2 is harder. We can order them. We can reduce fractions into the lowest term. Top heavy fractions, reducing, top heavy to decimals, comparing fractions, which work out fractions and then which one's larger or smaller. Ordering fractions of amounts, so you work out the fractions of amounts and then put them in order. Fractions to decimals menu, that'll be fractions to decimals, decimals to fractions, and percentages, percentages to decimals and fractions. And a mixed numbers menu, and we can add, subtract, multiply and divide mixed numbers, or mix addition and subtraction, mix multiplication and division, or mix them all. Just choose one to go back to the main menu. If you accidentally, that was fractions, if you accidentally click on one of these buttons, you have to go back to the main screen to get back to the main menu. Excuse me. So I've got logarithms here. If I wanted to do multiplying out brackets and press there accidentally, I'd have to quickly go back to the main board and then click on multiplying out brackets. But it doesn't take that long, and it won't happen that often. So in the logarithms, you've got calculate the value of logs, showing or solving log equations for x, converting to and from logs, expanding logs, expand and simplify log functions, express as a single log, logarithms, and mix them all. So this is getting grade 10, grade 11 sort of work, and it's easy for revision, and you've got your questions on the board with a little bit of fun and excitement maybe. Okay, so that was logarithms. So I've got multiplying out brackets, and here we've got the different levels of multiplying out brackets, and they get more difficult. You can mix them here in column 2, so it's mixing these 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and then we're multiplying brackets that will give us quadratics, and with coefficient outside, and then we've got expand and simplify, and this will multiply out and will give us the quadratic there just by pressing the button. That was after logarithms. So the numbers menu, there's a lot in here. We've got ordering numbers, expanded form, standard form, calculating the standard form, reciprocals, smallest and largest numbers, comparing numbers, comparing arithmetic, comparing and comparing arithmetic. They're both on the comparing menu. We've got an arithmetic menu, which is a little bit different because this one it's a similar menu. You can change the values up and down as before. You can select addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, but this time you can also mix addition and subtraction, mix multiplication and division, or you can mix them all. And then when you're ready, press ready. Oh, and if you have turned on either decimals or negatives or both, or left it on by mistake, and you press OK, it'll ask you, it'll say decimals are on. Is that okay? Yes, if that's what you wanted. No, if it's not, then you can turn decimals on. And then you're ready to go. I've made that mistake many times, and it takes a couple of seconds, a few seconds to get there and back, but it's more annoying than anything else. Okay, so that's arithmetic. That was from number, and there's more inside numbers. We've got rows of indices, and in rows of indices there is all of these, and you can mix the different types or mix them all. And if we quickly go back, and you can see how long it's taken me to go back and forward. It's a little time, but you wouldn't be doing this. But to click on every one of the menus, it's take half an hour. If you clicked on every single button, it might take 2 or 3 hours. That's how much work is in there. Okay, here's a money menu. There's a before, after and between menu, and the next 5 numbers. The next 5 numbers is the next 5 numbers after a given number, and it gives you what it's counting in. Before and after numbers, before, after, between. If you look at this, can be used with grade 7, 8, 9, 10. It's more difficult than it seems, but I want to go to next 5 numbers, and I don't want to keep coming back to the same thing. We've got so the next 5 numbers. You can have positive numbers, that's easy. Negative numbers, that's a little bit more difficult. Positive decimals, negative decimals, or you can mix them all. So negative decimals, the next 5 numbers, tells you up here you're doing next 5 numbers after 0.8, counting in minus ones. So that will be, wow, so it's minus 1. So it will be, so it's next 5 numbers after that. So it will be minus 9.9 minus 1, I think. Yeah, but yeah, that was right. But it caused me a little bit of thinking to do because there's two negatives in there, and it's before and after. And if it's before, that produces 3 negatives, and if it's after, there's 2 in there already. So it's more complicated than it seems or would appear. Okay, ordering menu. I'll quickly go through this. These orderings are ordering numbers. That's on the menu, on the numbers menu. Ordering fractions is there on the fractions menu. Ordering BODMAS, and we've got all these, and also ordering surds. When it comes to surds, there'll be an option for ordering surds. You work out the surds properly, so it'll be square roots of whatever it is, and then put them in order. There we go. And that's ordering. We've got percentage menu. We've got 10%, 5%, or any percent of amounts. Percentages over 100%, fractions, decimals, and percentages, and then percentages and decimals first, and change it to fractions and decimals and percentages. Okay, or you can mix all these 3, which is probably the better option. And we've got a percentage change menu, so you've got increase amounts, decrease amounts, mixed increase and decrease amounts, find the original price and find the decimal fraction multiplier, finding the original price. So we've got a 65% increase equals this. So some numbers being increased by 65% and given this, so there was $79, and you can work that out if you want. And that was that percentages. So we've got quadratics next. So these are the quadratic questions we've got, and finding roots of quadratics, formula of quadratic sequences, and inequalities. And we've got completing the square here. There's a submenu, no coefficient, with a coefficient, with negative coefficient, mix all and find the turning points. So we can find the turning points, and we can quickly go back to the menu, get through some more of these. What was that? Quadratics. And we've got ratio menu. We've got reducing ratios with 2 or 3 ratios, or a mix of 2 and 3s, or ratios of amount sharing a quantity into 2, or sharing a quantity into 3, or mix them. We've got multiplicative relationships, linear functions, and proportions. And the proportions, how many meters should this be? And it'll be 5. What did it? Yeah, so that'll be 2 meters. And then we go after ratio. We've got rounding. We've got rounding to nearest 10, nearest 100, nearest 1,000. We can mix all. We've got decimal, rounding to decimal places. Menu, significant figures menu, upper lower bounds menu, estimation menu. Let's go for significant decimal places menu. 1, 2, 3 decimal places, or mix all. I'll mix all. And see, up on the wheel, you see this is to 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places, and this one in the question is to 1 decimal place, so it should be 3.4. And then we'll go back, what was that, rounding, shapes and angles menu. And we've got interior angles of polygons, exterior angles of polygons, mix them. Properties of common 3D shapes, properties of all 3D shapes, which I guess would be into icosahedrons and things. I can't really remember what I did there. Find equations of a circle, find the centre from the radius and diameter, mix equations of a circle, answering with pi, we mentioned that before in another section, regular shapes and angle names. And in the sub-menus we've got area, perimeter and volume. That's a menu, Pythagoras and trigonometry, sine and cosine rule. Let's go for area and perimeter. I'm not going to go through the other sub-menus. The cosine and sine rule I know has just got the sine rule, the cosine rule, and mix them. So we've got area of a triangle, area of a rectangle, parallelogram, trapezium, circle, mix all areas. We've got perimeter of triangle, rectangle, and the circumference of circle, mix them. And we've got the volume of, what was that, triangular pyramids, triangular prism, cuboid, cylinder, sphere. And we just choose one and then go back to, so this is a perimeter of a pentagon, the side 6 meters, and I've chosen another one. I chose pentagon, didn't I? Okay, so the answer is going to be 45. 9 5 is 45, and pentagon is 5 sides. Okay, so that was area. I think shapes and angles. I hope I didn't just miss one. Squares, cubes, and roots. We've got the first one, which is squares and roots, but with the positive square root only. As you're starting to teach this through maybe grade 5, 6, 7, 8, you might not want, or you won't be wanting to mention negative, the squares of negative numbers. And the second one includes positive and negative choices. So unless you've got cubes and roots, so that would be cubes and cube roots, and squares, roots, and cubes. So that's the roots of, that's the squares and cubes and roots of each of them. And square number puzzles, and we've got squares and cubes and roots. We'll see they're all cubes, or they're cube numbers, or roots. Oh no, and it's roots. I'll just make sure there. Okay, so we've got the menu, what's that, squares, roots, and cubes. We've got substitution, and you've got substitution with like these. These are just examples of what you substitute, and then just the plain letters, then multiples of letters, then brackets, and brackets and square numbers, and you can mix level 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4. You can find y, substitute into formula, rearranging the formula. But if we go for this simple one, and as in the title at the top right, it says substitution, h is 3, n is 1, and t is 6, and it's n minus t, so it'll be 1, so it'll be minus 5. And then if we have a look at the H, N and T, the letters and the numbers will change for, oh, I just pressed the wrong thing. I pressed the menu, and I was going to show you something. Or substitution, so let's just choose that again. And we'll see P, V and X. If we choose another one, all the letters and the numbers, they'll change, they're not static. And we'll see there's a various, I press mixed all, I think. So there's various types of questions that could come up in the answer. And while I'm getting to the end, that's substitution. I don't think there was a sub-menu there. If there was, sorry. So surds, we can add, subtract, multiply, divide surds, and mix them. We can rationalise surds, difference between surds, expand and simplify, and ordering. And we've got a simplifying menu. So we can simplify and reverse simplifying and mix them. So we can reverse simplifying, which is simplifying but just backwards. And oh, I just pressed the wrong button. But that was surds and time, distance, speed. And on the right hand side we've got converting units. That would be the menu, including millimeters to meters, miles to kilometers, the distance parts of it, and the hours hours to decimals is already there. So we can add times, subtract times, adding and subtracting times. That's a mixed. Find speed in full hours, find time in full hours and distance in full hours, and we can mix each of them. Find distance, time and speed, including minutes, and 24-hour clock, seconds to minutes, hours to minutes, and hours as decimals. And we've got a calendar menu as well. We have the missing day, the missing month, mix these two. Before and after days, which is 3 days after Tuesday, and before and after months, 2 months before February, and we can mix them. So if we choose this, we'll just get a question, and we've got 1 month after August, September, and then we can go to the menu, and the last one is vectors, and here we've got adding, subtracting, multiplying, our mix, adding, subtracting, multiplying. We've got magnitude of vectors, finding the angles between vectors, mix angles and magnitude, or mix them all. And if we were going to do some adding and subtracting, we've got I and j as the vectors, and got x equals 8i plus 7j, y equals 4i plus 7j. So add it, vector x and y. So we've got, what is that, 12i and just 12i, because the j's eliminate. And that was it. So that's the menus. On, remember, this is super tool. Super tool. It's a little bit more expensive, but there's a lot. I can be used almost every lesson, and it's a little bit more fun way of asking questions. Okay, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.